So Nick Saban retires. That opens up a 30-day transfer portal window for the University of Alabama. How does that affect the school? And is it something that should be done at all? We'll talk about that next on the ProZone. Welcome to the ProZone. I'm Matt Roberts. So Nick Saban retired on January 10th. That opened up a 30-day transfer portal window for the University of Alabama football program. That goes till February 9th. Now, what does that mean? We just had a transfer portal. Transfer portal was from December 4th through January 2nd. And during that portal, players could just enter the portal to leave the school. Well, now we have another one that's been granted to University of Alabama for 30 days. Because as the rules state, if a head coach retires, quits, is fired, then the team or the school can issue a 30-day transfer portal window. And players can just leave the school. So is it something that should be done at all? I'm going to look at it from both sides. Okay? Again, I was a Division I football player, and I've worked with athletes for over 20 years. I've also dealt with coaches and worked with them for almost the same amount of time. So I understand the process, and I want to look at it from both perspectives. Let's start with the players, okay? So I'm a player, and I'm on a team. When you're getting recruited by a coach, you develop a rapport with that coach. You decide to join a team based on the culture of the team, the character of the coach, the game plan, the history, success rate. I mean, Nick Saban's recruiting you, you'll be very, very happy and motivated to go play for a coach like Nick Saban. I mean, 17 years as a coach, 6 national championships, that's huge for an athlete, and it's a wonderful culture to be part of. So you develop that rapport, and sometimes it's over a number of years. They've been communicating with you on and off for years, sending you letters, and you're really excited about being part of that team. Now that coach is fired or leaves the program or retires. Now your reason for going to that school, your main reason, I mean, there's other reasons, I love the culture of Alabama, the spirit, the camaraderie, the education, and your main reason that was gone, your head coach, that was your connection. One of the main reasons you were going to go to that school. He's gone. So you have to make a decision. What am I going to do? Do I stay or do I go? Let me put my personal perspective into this. When I was at West Point, I was recruited by Coach Jim Young. Wanted me very badly. He wrote me a lot of letters. I was recruited by other schools too, but he really wanted me to play there. So I said, okay, I'm going to go play for Army. And Jim Young, legend, it was great to have him as a coach. But after my first year, my freshman year, he retired and he left. So he was replaced by the defensive coordinator, who I liked very much. And he was great. I thought he was great. He had the same philosophy as Jim Young, same program. They just kind of carried it along with him. So it wasn't that drastic of a shift, unlike someone else coming in totally different to the program. So could I have left West Point? Well, it's a little different at the academy because if you don't leave within your first 2, you can only leave within your first 2 years. If you leave after that, then you owe the Army some time because they're paying, the Army's paying for your schooling while you're there. It's an appointment, not an actual scholarship. But the portal still does exist, just in those first 2 years. So could I have left? Yeah, I could have left. I could have said, screw it. But who's going to want to really leave? I mean, you work hard to get into West Point unless something really is, causing you to want to go. There's something else huge on the horizon, then you're going to stay. And that is why I stuck it out. And other players did. I don't remember anybody leaving while we were on the team. I don't remember that after the coaches shifted. It was fine because, again, same philosophy. A little different at University of Alabama because now at Alabama, you have these players who are part of this massive winning culture. I mean, Alabama's Alabama, right? And these kids have known Saban for virtually almost their whole lives. You got kids from 17 to 22 years old at this school. He's been coaching for almost their whole lives, 17 years. So he's an institution. And they're not going to leave, or they're not going to stay if he leaves, okay? In most cases. But now you're making it easier for them because you're saying now you have a transfer portal window to go. Well, so good, you have an opportunity to get out of the school and you can move on to another program. I'm a loyalty guy. I mean, if you're going to go to a school and you're going to sign a contract with the school, then you should be loyal to that school and sticking with that program. That's just my philosophy. And then you kind of wait it out. Get the new coach to come in and give you, teach you a little bit of something, show you what he's all about. Kalen DeBoer comes over from University of Washington. He's now the head coach. So it's going to be a little bit different, but you give him a shot. And a lot of guys probably will do that. But the problem, giving them that 30-day transfer portal window, is you're going to decimate, potentially, University of Alabama. I mean, a ton of players already entered the portal. A ton of them. I mean, 7 entered the transfer portal after they lost the national championship to Michigan. So you're going to have a bunch more who are going to leave, and there are still more popping out. I mean, just as I was recording this, 2 big defensive linemen left. One was a number 1 recruit for them last year, and then another one is like a senior or coming up on being a senior, and they both left. They said, I'm entering the portal. So they're going to go somewhere else. You're killing this team. It's getting destroyed simply because of this rule where you have to open up a 30-day transfer portal window. Is it good for players? Sure, but you got to come from a different perspective. Players want to be treated like pros for the most part. They want to get paid name, image, and likeness money. They want to get paid to go to school. They want all these plus tuition on top of that. So these players, they come from a culture of entitlement, instant gratification, so to speak. No disrespect to all, but let's be real. You guys are used to instant movies. You can watch whenever you want to watch them. Instant music whenever you want to listen to it. There's not a whole lot of discipline out there. You're not held accountability for a lot of your actions, but it is what it is. And that's what you've grown into over these years. It's become part of your culture. So now they're being given the opportunity to leave. Yeah, you can go. No problem. Now, granted, you have to meet your criteria. There are 5 criteria in entering the transfer portal. I explained it in detail in the transfer portal video that I did earlier. Go check out that episode. But if you meet one of the 5 criteria, and they're not very hard to meet, basically, if you have to be athletically or academically qualified to leave. So if you're meeting athletic and academic requirements, it means your grades are good enough, and you can play ball, you can enter the portal. So they're able to leave whenever they want to leave. And it's not teaching them responsibility, and it's not teaching them accountability. So what you have are young people who don't, when you're young, and I was a young teen, so I understand, you're impetuous, you're impulsive, you're emotional. You're not really mature yet. I mean, you're really not at all at that age. So you're being given the opportunity to do whatever you want to do with little to no repercussion. That's it. And that's what these players are doing. They're leaving. So they're all going to bail out of Alabama. Not all of them, but a lot of them are leaving. On the flip side, University of Washington, where DeBoer is coming from, also gave their athletes, because he's a head coach that was leaving, taking the job at Alabama, their athletes get a transfer portal window for 30 days as well. So now you have, over here, you have these players, 17 players entered the portal right away, that quickly. Boom, 17 Huskies entered the portal. One of them, tight end senior, signed with Texas A&M. Wide receiver sophomore, Utah. Quarterback redshirt senior, James Madison. Cornerback junior, signed with Stanford. That quickly, they're gone. So you're decimating Washington as well. So when a coach leaves, what the NCAA is allowing to happen is they're allowing teams to get pillaged by other teams simply because the kids aren't getting their way. Their coach left. Well, it's not fair, though. If the coach leaves, the coaches can leave whenever they want to. Players, right. That's because they're coaches, and they have contracts, too. Okay? Here's the deal. I understand the way it works as an athlete. Okay? I've dealt with athletes for years about this. I get it. If you verbally commit to a school, you can then lose that verbal commitment. The school can just decommit, but you also can decommit. They can decommit from you. You can decommit from them. The mistakes that players make is they think that just because I've committed that it's ironclad, but it's not. Nothing's ironclad unless you sign the paperwork. Once you sign the national letter of intent, then you're committed to that school and they're committed to you. Okay? The mistake that players make, though, is they become beholden to a school. And they say, I got a verbal commitment, so I'm going to stick with this school, come hell or high water, and then they announce to everybody that they're going to just stay with the school. And then other coaches move on. Oh, okay, you're going there? Bye. We're going to move on and get somebody else. I had a player who did this back in 2006, 2007. He was a senior, verbally committed to Cincinnati, told everybody, I'm going to Cincinnati, told all the coaches. And the coaches said, see ya. Coaches from Cincinnati were fired. So middle of January, his father contacts me in a panic and says, what do I do? I said, okay, well, let's remarket your kid, get him out there to schools. It's really late in the game, so it's going to be tough, but we'll give it a shot. So he's a linebacker, pushed him out there to a bunch of schools, and we got a lot of interest. The problem is they were confused, and they thought that he was a 2008 kid, not a 07 kid. So once it was like, you're graduating in 07, not 08. Okay, well, we can't take you this year. However, we'll keep you on our radar for next year. So what I said to the father is, like, hey, we gave it a shot. No one's going to take him. Let's go prep school for about a year, do that for 1 year. And then after that year, after that semester, then you can be marketed again. So we marketed him one more time right after the football season ended. And then he was picked up for spring ball and was made the starting middle linebacker for Duquesne University at spring ball. So it worked out for him, okay? But it doesn't always work out for everybody. And the mistake that players make is they brag on their verbal commitments. It doesn't mean a thing. And a coach can leave whenever they want to leave. I'll do a whole nother episode on this in more detail. But I'm telling you that so I can tell you this. Yes, that's the business, though. If a coach says, I don't want you anymore, I've decided to go somewhere else, that's the business. But you can also do the same thing. Well, then a coach could retire and leave, but I can't. That's different. The coach can retire, that's retirement. But a coach can quit, but he has to be under his terms of his contract. And he also can be fired, okay? So, yes, does it adversely affect the athlete? Yeah, it does. But at the same point, you made a commitment not just to that coach, but to the school, the team, and the other players on the team. So as an athlete, from that perspective, I'm going, yeah, I committed to these guys, and I've been with them for a bit, and I kind of want to stick it out because I want to be, I want to honor my commitments that I've made. And if it doesn't work out, then maybe take the opportunity to leave. So that's the player's perspective, okay? Should you transfer? Well, you're allowed to, so rock and roll. I don't think it's necessary yet. I think you should give it more time because when DeBoer comes in from Washington, there needs to be the window for you to say, okay, what's this guy all about? What's he cut out of? Is he good? What's his philosophy? Do I like this coach? And then you feel him out for a bit. And then by spring ball, there's another transfer portal window at spring, right after spring ball. It's, where is it? April 16th through April 30th. It's a whole nother transfer portal window for football. So after a few months and getting through spring ball, you can say, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm not liking the way this coach is playing, or he has a different philosophy that I'm looking for, or honestly, he may have a totally different structure in terms of the way athletes are handled in his game plan. I mean, when a coach is recruiting players, he has a vision for them down the line. Where could they be used? And they kind of map things out in hopes of those athletes, rising to that level and then hitting that spot for them and making it work and being part of their game plan. He could come up with a whole different game plan looking at the evaluation of the athletes. But you got to think about this from the coach's side. He has to evaluate all of these players that had been recruited by Saban under his team, his coach's staff. He has to look at all the transfer portal guys that were pulled off of the portal before Saban left. And then he has to look at all the players who entered the portal after the bowl game and the national championship, and then when Saban's leaving. So he has to evaluate all of that to figure out what's coming next. And that's a lot of work. Yeah, he's paid the money for it, but still it's a pain in the butt. So you're exacerbating that by everyone just leaving, okay? So from a coach's perspective, I'm going to say there should be a kind of a grace period. Let these kids learn what this coach is about, figure it out, and then transfer come spring if they want to. They have a 2-week window in spring, and then you can go to another school after spring ball. Well, it's past time. Once you leave in spring, then the other teams, their slots already filled. It's decided on. Yeah, but it's a level playing field, and you still have several months before the football season starts. So there's plenty of time for evaluation, and I think that needs to be adhered to. Honestly, that should be the way it works, but it's not. So what you're currently looking at is you have the coach from Washington who left to take the job at Alabama. You have Saban who retired, leaving his job at Alabama. And now you have Alabama and Washington opening a 30-day transfer portal window. There are now, for those schools, 3 transfer portal windows. You had the first portal window, December 4th through January 2nd. This portal window for the next 30 days, from January 10th to February 9th, roughly. And then the other 2-week window in April. That's a lot of transition for players. How do you manage that as a coach? I mean, that makes it nearly impossible or incredibly challenging to manage all the personnel and how do you develop an offensive philosophy or a scheme when everyone's just leaving whenever they want to leave? And that's where I have the issue with the way things are done in the NCAA. And they have to try to fix this. Okay? The NCAA right now, as it currently stands, is you get a scholarship, and they offer you a 4-year scholarship. Every year, by July 1st, they have to renew that scholarship. That's their choice. They either renew it or don't renew it. If you're not athletically and academically qualified going forward, you're not playing good enough, or your grades are bad, they could say, you know what, we like you, but we're not going to renew your scholarship, and then you're good luck. They could do that. That's part of a contract. Okay. Back, I think it was like 6 or 7 years ago, the rules conference got together, the member schools, and they voted on a rule. They proposed a rule that was having the NCAA scholarship, the athletic scholarship for football, be 2 years. So you're good for 2 years of commitment to a school. And then after 2 years, they can decide whether or not they want to renew your scholarship. That makes more sense if you want to look at it from a pro's perspective. Again, you want name, image, and likeness money. You want to get paid to go to school. You want to be treated like a pro, but you'll want to adhere to the rules of an amateur. It doesn't work that way, and it shouldn't work that way. Because in the pros, you can't just walk away from a contract. You get a 3-4 year deal from the NFL, you have to stay there. Unless you could demand a trade, but that's a whole legal issue. You have to have agents dealing with all that stuff, and you have to walk out and sit out and all that crap. You could have a no-trade clause in your contract, but you mostly will stick with your contract. You could get cut, and there's, depending on how your contract is structured, you could get paid or could not get paid. And it depends on how they structure it. But for the fact of the matter is, in most cases, you have a contract and you have to adhere to that contract. You're there for 3 years or 4 years or however long the contract is. You're committing to that team. That's how the players in college should do it now. You should be committed for 2 years. This would work the best. At least 2 years. Freshman, sophomore year of actual eligibility time. Redshirt year doesn't count. Now, after redshirt year, you can go wherever you want to go. I think after that redshirt year, before you become a freshman, You probably should be able to just leave whenever you want to leave because you haven't practiced with the team yet. But once you get into that first year, your first year of eligibility, you go into 2-year contract. And after that 2-year contract, then you can enter the portal and leave if you want to leave. That gives you the opportunity to develop and grow and mature. You're 17 years old, 18, right out of high school. You don't know anything. You really don't. And you're just being impetuous. So everyone wants instant gratification. They want to follow the next winner. They want to go, they want to be like LeBron, change teams whenever he wants to change teams. Well, it shouldn't work that way. So if you give them that 2-year window, that makes more sense. And then that gives the coaches that window also to develop players for a few years and get into the part of their culture, analyze them, figure out what they're all about. And then they also have to hold on to those players for those 2 years because they've committed to those players too. It's a risk and reward thing from both sides. That's what I think should happen. But that's not how it is right now. Right now it's just mass chaos. Right now with the litigation and the injunction and everything else going on with the NCAA, transfer portal is wide open and absolutely insane. Now, this current transfer portal, this 30 days, can it be used to cheat? That's where we have to have a deeper dive. Okay? Thought about this. This is interesting. Can it be used to cheat? So, what do you mean by that? Well, here's what I mean. Say Nick Saban. Let's use Nick Saban. Not saying he's doing this, just use Nick Saban. Nick Saban is the coach for Alabama. He retires. After 2 days, so he retires January 10th, it's now January 12th. He decides, you know what, I'm going to take a job at University of Florida. So guess what? He retires. Now that opens up the transfer portal for 30 days automatically because he retired. He unretires, goes to Florida. He can go to the transfer portal and he can take all his players and pillage them from the portal. So the kids say, oh, wait, after 2 days, holy cow, he's playing for Florida. I want to go play for Saban. So all these players will then fly out of Alabama, jump onto the portal, and he can pick them all up. That could be done. Is it legal? Yep. Is it right? No, but it is legal. I called, before this episode, I called NCAA legal. And I spoke with them and I said, okay, if this happens, can a coach just retire and then join another team? And they said to me, we don't control the hiring and firing of coaches. Those rules are determined by the schools themselves. We don't get involved with that. I said, so a coach could potentially leave a team, retire, and then leave retirement the next day and go to another team. And they said, yeah, he can. I'm like, holy cow. So it could be done. So let's go a little bit deeper. You're a coach. I'm just picking schools here. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just having just random schools. Trust me. Say you're a coach from Auburn, and the coach from Auburn's out playing golf. Auburn and Tennessee are a pretty big rivalry, right? So coach from Auburn's out playing golf with some of the department heads, athletic director from Tennessee, and they're just they're chopping it up, talking about stuff, and he goes, yeah, you know what? I'm not really happy at Auburn. I'm thinking about leaving, and the Tennessee AD is like, oh boy, there's always a home here if you decide to come here. I mean, we're in a transitional phase anyway. Right? That's off the record. Are they supposed to do that? No. Could happen? Yeah. Now Auburn coach says, yeah, I'm going to retire. So he retires from Auburn, and then the next day, so the transfer portal opens up, all these players start to enter it, he then goes to Tennessee. All these players from Auburn enter the portal and they have 30 days. The 30 days are active. Whether or not he unretires or not, the 30-day portal is open for his players. So now all those players can leave and they'll stay in the portal until they're taken out of the portal by another team. So he goes to Tennessee and he says, okay, I'm taking all my guys with me. Now, because I'm going to go to Tennessee and they're a rival for Auburn, I'm going to decimate Auburn and solidify Tennessee with my players. It could be done. It literally could be done because it's legal. Is it going to be done? I don't know. Has it been done? I would hate to think it would be done, but it could be. That's a problem with this transfer portal, this 30 days. I mean, is there a way to fix it? Yeah. I mean, you could say a coach, if a coach retires or quits, then they have to stay inactive for a certain window of time and they can't get another job for 30 days to match the portal window. But again, players under the portal, they can stay longer than the 30 days. They can, they don't have to leave the portal because they can just pick and choose who they go with. So you're opening up Pandora's box. The only way to really fix it is to eliminate the whole, okay, you have 30 days to transfer out of the school if your head coach is fired or retired or quits or whatever. That's just, it can cause a lot of problems. And you already have 2 transfer portals for football. Okay, we already have 2. December 4th through January 2nd and April 16th through 30th of this year. There's your 2. But now you're adding another one in the middle, and it could come up at any time. What happens if it comes up in the middle of the season? What if a coach is fired 4 or 5 games in? Does the school open up a portal for 30 days during the season? It's legal. I think it's their choice, but could they? It's possible. There's a lot of problems with it. I'm curious, though, what's your perspective? Who do you side with? Do you side with the players? Do you side with the coaches? Or are you kind of in the middle? Do you think the NCAA needs to rethink the whole transfer portal 30-day window for when a coach leaves, the head coach leaves a program? I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Let me know. Comment down below. Leave a message there. I'm really interested to hear what your feedback is. So thanks very much for watching the ProZone. Until next time, I'm Matt Roberts. Know your goal. Hey guys, thank you for watching the ProZone. Make sure you check back for more episodes. And if you haven't done so already, like, share, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss what we have coming up next.